You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Today in Dallas, a judge read the jury's decision as to how many years Amber Guyger will be sentenced to prison for the murder of Botham Jean.
The jury having reached a verdict, I will now announce it. We, the jury, find unanimously that the defendant did not cause the death of Botham Jean while under the immediate influence of sudden passion arising from an adequate cause, and assess the defendant's punishment at 10 years imprisonment in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. In addition, we assess a fine of $0, and it's signed by the presiding juror. Would you like to have the jury poll?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any legal reason why this sentence should not now be imposed?
Not at all.
It is therefore the order, judgment, and decree of the court that you be taken by the Sheriff of Dallas County and safely transported by her to an agent or representative of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and there you shall be confined until your sentence is discharged. Your sentence will begin today, and you will receive credit for any back time that you had.
Botham Jean's father, Bertram Jean, testified today in quite the emotional testimony.
Mr. John, in this photo, what are you thinking when you're standing there holding your wife?
How could that happen to us, our family? How could we have lost Botham? Such a sweet boy. He tried his best to live a good, honest life. He loved God. He loved everyone. How could this happen to him? How could hindsight, what could we have done? And my family is broken-hearted. How could it be possible? I'll never see him again. And I want to see him. I still want to see him. It's hard. I've never experienced a close death, so in my family, it's hard not hearing his voice.
Joining me now is Tiffany Young, a political commentator who's been in the courtroom every day since the trial began. Tiffany, I want to play this video. Botham Jean's brother also testified, and he said he did not want to see Amber Guyger go to prison. And in fact, when it was over, go to my iPad, please. When it was over, this happened, where he went to her, hugged Amber Guyger, whispered in her ear, "I hope you find Jesus Christ." And what's interesting is I already see a lot of white folks on social media, people like, conservative commentator Mark Davis out of Dallas talk about how, the forgiveness in the courtroom versus the racial revenge. And I said, oh, so if you forgive the white woman for killing Botham Jean, we praise forgiveness, sort of like with Dylan Roof. But if you don't, it's racial revenge. What was your reaction? How did that play in court in terms of when that happened? And also, were you also in court when this happened? Guys, if you go to my iPad, when the judge came off the stand and gave Amber Guyger a hug. Share your thoughts, please.
Yes, so we have a press conference with the DA going on here behind me right now. But when those moments happen in court, I will tell you it was a tender moment for everyone in the court. You already had one of the jurors that was in tears even as the sentence was read. And so as we watched the judge, some of us were kind of confused as to what was going on because the judge spent some time speaking with Amber. And so we were trying to understand what was going on. But
have you ever seen that before?
Botham's Brother.
Tiffany, have you ever seen that before? I mean, I've covered trials.
And that's what
I've never seen a judge come off the bench and hug the person who was convicted of murder.
Correct, and that's what we've said in all the years of the Dallas County courtrooms. No one could recall seeing a moment such as that.
Obviously, what was it?
And even when,
Go ahead.
even when the brother came down from the stands, there were some that were commentating as to whether or not that was even appropriate because Amber Guyger was already in custody at that time. And so, there may even be an opportunity for reprimand there because I've heard that was inappropriate, I guess, from a procedural standpoint. And then the brother has been here at the courtroom today with his Bible in tow. I've noticed that he's been reading the Bible very intently today, so it wasn't necessarily a shocker to me that he did ask for that.
Well, we're breaking up there. Tiffany, I want to let you go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and cover that news conference, and we'll try to get back with you a little bit later. We get also a better signal, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks a bunch. I want to go to now our panel. Joining me right now in studio, Alicia Cross, political commentator, Democratic strategist, A. Scott Bolden, former chair, National Bar Association PAC, also Lauren Victoria Burke, NNPA. Scott, 10 years?
Well, every state jurisdiction is very different.
Prosecutor wanted 28. Botham Jean, his birthday was earlier this week, would have turned 28 years old. He was 26 when he was shot and killed by Amber Guyger. They came back 10. That's real on the low side there. And
Well,
she'll
she could've
serve
gotten
5.
life.
Well,
Could have gotten life.
Right, could have gotten life. She'll serve 5 and before she's eligible for parole.
It's interesting. There was a lot going on in this courtroom. Emotionally draining. These are tough cases. This was a murder case, and she was charged with murder and convicted of murder, but it felt like a manslaughter case. Her whole defense was it was a huge mistake and error, and that seemed to permeate what the emotions and what was going on in this courtroom. You just reported that the witness was allowed to hug a murderer. The judge came down off the stand to hug a murderer. That is so rare. I've been doing this for 32 years on the criminal and prosecution and defense side. I have never seen, read, heard, or even known of any other case like this. So something interesting was going on, but 10 years, the hugs, those are inappropriate. And I'll be honest with you, maybe that's Texas justice, but I think the Texas bar or even the Court of Appeals, if you will, may have something to say about that vis-a-vis the judge. I don't know whether it's an appealable issue or not, but they did this in front of the jury.
Right.
When the jury is making a determination on 0 or 5 to 100 years.
Well, first, let me show Botham Jean's brother. That took place while the jury was present before sentencing came down.
Okay.
The judge, I believe, that hug came after the jury had rendered their sentence. But right. Even still, and here's the deal. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll go ahead and say it. I think the difference here, she's a cop. The bottom line is you cannot convince me that the roles were reversed if a Botham Jean walked into Amber Guyger's apartment and she's a cop and she's shot dead, that you're going to have this level of compassion. I think what happens is whenever a police officer is on trial, they are given the benefit of the doubt.
Lots of latitude.
There is a whole, same thing happened in the Quan McDonald case. It was, oh my God, don't take my husband from our children. All those things you heard from the officer's wife and all the cops testifying. That, to me, I think, was the driving force.
It's a little deep. I absolutely agree with you. And I was going to say that the other part of this is when we see cases like this, there's always the defense side trying to find something wrong with the victim. Oh, he smoked weed when he was 16, so somehow he deserved this. In this case, you have a guy who, by all intents and purposes, college graduate, worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers. He was someone who led the choir. He was someone who actually had a white woman serve as a key witness for his character during the trial.
Great family, too.
Exactly. Great family. Yes, Christian people. We all pray. On that same token, what we see here is someone who, in Amber Guyger's case, went there and acted like she was the victim the entire time.
Right.
Not that she killed somebody,
no, remember,
but that she was victimized.
She was treated that way from the beginning, Lauren. Cops, first of all, took 3 days to even arrest her, all right? And then she turned herself in another county, not in Dallas County. And you had all this. Yeah, absolutely. It was like, oh my God, this is so unfortunate that it was an accident. She was disturbed. She was sexting the guy she was having an affair with. She was distracted. And then she goes into the apartment. It was just a tragic accident. He's dead.
Yeah. I mean, I know people grieve in different ways, and the family should be allowed to, have their moments that they need to have to work emotionally through this. But the whole thing is really a tour of what it is to be African American, in this country for the last 400 years. We are not allowed to get angry. We're not allowed to get pissed off in the same way. And we're supposed to make everybody else comfortable.
Yes.
Everybody else is supposed to be made comfortable. If you remember in the Michael Brown case, the theory was, well, the cop's life shouldn't be inconvenienced that he had shot dead this 18-year-old. Like, why are we inconveniencing his life over that? The same thing that happened with George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. And you're seeing a little bit of that here. It's not just that she's a cop, she's a petite, white, blonde female. And there's a natural sort of built-in tendency in our culture to have sympathy for that person.
I mean,
there's this idea that she's just sort of...
She testified like she was a victim.
She was the victim.
Right.
She was in fear.
And you know what's interesting about that? Her story is BS. Okay, the idea that she accidentally came into his apartment is nonsense, right? And that this should be a manslaughter case is nonsense. Anybody could see through the fact that this is probably a premeditated
But let me tell you
So
what.
well,
let me tell you the problem with that.
Tell it was a key fob.
But it
all the
feels like a
floors
manslaughter
look
case.
alike.
Let me tell you why.
They all feel alike. But
most jurors believe that if it's premeditated murder, right, under the law, you can be premeditated within a minute or two, right? The case didn't feel like that, and it wasn't presented that way. It felt like she made the error. The defense narrative on this dominated this trial, despite a strong prosecutor, and besides them getting
no, not the defense narrative.
Conviction.
Her narrative from the beginning dominated.
And on the stand, she said,
but again, the only reason that narrative was allowed to be present and consistent is because she's a cop.
I think part of it's because she's a cop. I think the other part she kind of spoke to earlier. This is a younger, blonde, white woman.
No. Hold on. I got that.
America.
I got that. But I got that. But she's also a cop. And I'm telling you, the leeway we get.
That's clear. Even playing against a black judge.
No. I go back to the case. It was in Connecticut. Black guy. I think Connecticut or Delaware. I think it was Connecticut. Brother, hands. Cop says, get on the ground. Brother gets on the ground. Cops kicks him in the head. Knocks him unconscious. Goes to court. Jury says, not guilty. We don't have the after video. We have the video of him. This is how he's looking. Going to his knees. Making no move towards the cop. Cop literally kicks him in his head, knocks him unconscious. The juror said, not guilty. This is the reality. I think you mix in cop, 31-year-old white woman, oh my God, the tears and all of that. Well, and people,
clearly you have never in your life, as you've already said, seen that type of scene in the courtroom. I mean, raise your hand in here if you've ever seen a judge come down and hug the person responsible for a murder.
We've also never seen somebody get shot and killed in their own home while eating ice cream.
Listen, but here's the deal. This is part of the psychology of what you say. I agree with you. Who you call when you got a problem? Somebody breaking in your house or a disturbance in your house? Who you call? The police. And they are there to protect and serve, right?
Right.
Who you call when you want them to come to school and talk about officer friendly? The police, right?
Right.
Now, when white people call the police, their narrative is they're there to protect and serve, and they look up because they're the last line of defense between chaos and community. When black people call the police, you got a 50-50 shot of making it. Maybe they come and secure the location.
Like in Illinois,
assaulted or killed.
Like in Illinois, when they called the cops and the brother was a bouncer,
right?
And the brother he had the gun and the cop shot him, and he ends up getting killed, and he was the one trying to stop the fight.
And what happened in Dallas when they had a peaceful march, and the shooter was sticking and moving and shooting people, right? And the police and the protesters, or peace protesters, were walking, and you had all of them had open carry. As soon as that shooting started, what did the brothers do? The brothers dropped their rifles, handed their rifles over, and got out. You know why?
Because they
turned into a firing squad.
And the thing, and I want to pull this up because I was looking at this here. So Mark Davis, y'all, is a conservative radio talk show host in Dallas, Fort Worth, and he and I go at it all the time. But you always gotta love whiteness
And privilege.
You gotta love whiteness when black people forgive. Okay,
It's a beautiful thing.
this is a tweet. Jury gives Amber Guyger 10 years. Courtroom sees spirit of forgiveness. Even hugs along the theme of what Botham Jean would have wanted. This display of grace and mercy is in stark contrast to voices crying for racial revenge. Genuinely inspiring. Then he later tweets, let me find this. There's been so much pain in this story. Botham Jean family's literal embrace of Amber Guyger is God's grace before us, an echo of the kind of man Botham Jean was, and a call to all of us to practice that mercy and forgiveness in our own lives. You got white folks 18 years later still want to kill every damn Muslim because of 911. I was offended when I heard that bullshit on TV after Emmanuel.
Dylan.
All Morning Joe and all these shows. I was just struck by the tone of forgiveness. After this tragedy, forgiveness. Something tragic happens. White folks in America want us. Can you just forgive? Can you just? But it's the mercy. But then so if you don't forgive, racial revenge.
But what about when they are the bad actors? Or the bad act occurs to them.
And again, that's my point.
And they want not only revenge, but they want justice. They want death.
Swiftly.
They want swift justice. And
Why
they also
do they
want
equate justice
you
with
to
racial
be
revenge?
incarcerated.
It is.
You got to be incarcerated.
It is. And I don't really think white folks understand, again, this history. This history where, and what they also, again, don't understand is that our history has been black forgiveness it's actually been tied to black survival. Because when these things have happened, lynchings and other shootings, this tone of forgiveness. Can we just forgive? And then, if you say, "Oh no, hell no, I ain't forgiving," I think back to when I think it was either Jimmy Lee Jackson or the four little girls who were killed in Birmingham when King was trying to give this speech, and his one brother stood up and he's like, "Oh no, hell no, no, I'm sick of this."
Right.
And we can't get mad.
Right. We're not allowed to get mad.
We can't hold a grudge. We can't say, "Oh hell no."
Right.
No. You have to forgive.
Also, too, for us to get mad then indicates that we value our lives just as equally as everybody else, which has been something, and you just said it, we have had to survive making sure that the majority, in this case white folks, are happy. And if they're not happy and they're angry, that has been a problem for us for 400 years.
Hold tight one second. Hold tight 1 second. I want to go back to Dallas. We have Ben Crump, who's with us. Ben, who do you have with you?
I have Attorney Daryl Washington and Attorney Lee Merritt.
I got to ask the three of you. Tom Joyner this morning asked me how many years I think Amber Guyger was going to get. I said 15. The prosecution was asking for 28. How do y'all feel about 10 years?
Well, 10 years is going to be inadequate every time. We believe that Botham's life mattered a lot more than that. But we understand that we've been so close to this family. We saw the kind of love that was expressed by Botham, that was expressed by his little brother, that permeates that family. And because of that, we thought, 99 years would be far too little time. However, 99 years is not going to bring Botham back to that family. There is additional work that needs to go on. We need to continue to push to fight to change the culture. We need to change the city of Dallas. So that's what we're focusing on.
The one thing I said, Roland, at the press conference, everybody was talking about consideration for this white policewoman who killed this unarmed black man in his apartment. I thought about, and you know this well, all the black men who have been wrongfully convicted, who spent decades in prison. Why aren't we asking consideration for them, like the white community was asking for consideration, like this policewoman? So we have a lot of work to do in America. We thought, because this was historic with the first conviction of a white policewoman of murder for killing a black man, that this was going to be equal justice. But we saw with this sentence, we still have work to do.
And Roland, just to add to that, we were happy to get the murder conviction. However, you know, when you look at 10 years, there are black men who have been sentenced to more than 10 years for selling weed. There have been people sent to prison for a longer time for stealing a sneaker bar out of the store. So, again, we have a lot of work. The fact that we were able to get a murder conviction on a white lady police officer I think, is significant in itself, but still, there are major issues that we are faced with in Dallas and throughout this country that we must take on head on right now.
I have to ask you, do you believe that it was inappropriate for the judge to come off of the bench and embrace Amber Guyger?
You know,
hold on. Let me rephrase. I'll rephrase. The three of you. No. That's what I'm saying. I'll rephrase. The three of you have been in numerous cases. Have you ever seen a judge embrace somebody convicted of murder?
Never, not once, not even on Hollywood movies.
I mean, it goes even farther. Roland, this case has had so many twists and turns. Just on last evening, we saw a picture of a bailiff actually combing Amber Guyger's hair. I mean, and just to see a lot of the things that took place today, I've just never seen it happen that way. And it wasn't a mistake. She went in there with the intent to kill Botham when she walked in that apartment. And I think she should be treated as a murderer. We understand that people they forgive people, but at the end of the day, we need to send the message to America that it is not acceptable to kill unarmed black men in their own homes.
The justice system treats police differently. It's not news to anyone. The justice system treats white women differently. It's not news to anyone. This is part of the system that we're working to change, and there's more work to do.
Amber Guyger is 31 years old, will go to jail, sentenced to 10 years, will be eligible for parole in 5 years, could also get out a lot earlier for good behavior. And I tell people, I open the show this way. Amber Guyger killed Botham Jean, and she got the same number of years that Bill Cosby got in prison.
That's deep.
Roland, these are some very difficult cases. We were looking at the black police officer who killed the white lady in Minnesota. If I'm not mistaken, he only got 12 years. These cases are so very difficult to get jurors to want to send police officers to prison for a very long time.
Well, actually, remember, the cop who killed Philando Castile had no indictment. The black cop who killed that white woman, he got indicted. They distanced himself, and he got, more than 10 years in prison. The whole police force in the city just ignored. Said, "No, we done with you." And in fact, the settlement that white woman's family received was far higher than what Philando Castile's family received.
Yeah.
So again, in this country, a white woman, her life is far seen as more valuable than an African American.
And Roland, it's so deep what you say, because remember the police union in that Minnesota case where that black guy killed the white woman was the first time I ever saw the police union not defend a cop and turn their back on him. So we know it's always about race in America.
Gentlemen, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. It was certainly an emotional trial there, and we'll see where her team chooses to appeal. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
You guys wanted to make a final point here.
I wanted to ask the team whether that 10-year sentence was appealable under the court procedures in Texas at the state level. Don't know whether it is or isn't, and whether either side could possibly appeal that 10-year sentence.
Well, one of the things. Well, first of all, one of the things that when they asked the defense about that, they rarely accepted what the jury offered.
I bet they did. That should tell you something right there.
No, we're good.
2005.
No,
Right.
they said, no, we're good.
2005, that's without good behavior. And then if she goes into a number of programs like drug or alcohol, she probably gets good credit, good time credit. I don't know Texas law, but you're looking at, man, essentially a manslaughter sentence.
Here's the deal.
Get ready.
Here's the deal.
That's what you'd be looking at, maybe 3
Here's
to
the
5
deal.
years.
I know Texas law.
Uh-huh.
That works for a white former cop.
That don't work for black people.
That don't work for black people.
Well, it's the same system.
That don't do
Roland.
it. Okay,
We're
all
always
right.
trying to figure out there's separate systems for black people and white people. The same system helps everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Or
Yeah.
hurts everybody.
Yeah, all right.
Get ready for the cavalcade of stats on cases where somebody stole a loaf of bread and got more than 10 years.
Yep.
And Kristen Clark, you retweeted Kristen Clark. She already had an example of that.
Yeah, black
Not-
man
Go ahead.
who sold drugs and how he spent
Got 20 years of life.
Served, got life, served 20 years, and only got out because of the First Step Act.
Right.
Only got out. This is a tweet right here.
Right.
Meet Amber Guyger, who was served 10 years after murdering Botham Jean in his own apartment. Meet Edward Douglas, who was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of selling crack cocaine. He spent almost 2 decades in prison before being released through the First Step Act.
And many more to come. Because that's going to be
Many
a
more
lot
examples. You could post a ton of examples
Yeah.
up there. You don't have to stop with that
That's
one.
what we got. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, the second annual Luxe Jazz experience will be taking place in Los Cabos, November 7th through the 11th. Now, if you want to get your package to attend in person, you can do so by going to luxejazz.com, LIFELUXEJAZZ.com. But if you want to actually check out the live stream, you're going to have 14 different legendary acts performing over 3 days. I told you, comedian actor Mark Curry is confirmed, Gerald Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madon, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donna McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles, and more. GFNTV.com is going to be doing the live stream. You can actually get that live stream package for $10.99. That's $10.99. And so all you got to do is go to GFNTV.com to actually do that. So I want you guys to do that. You can get your live stream pass between now and October 30th for $10.99 at GFNTV.com. 3 days of amazing concerts. Don't forget, Roland Martin Unfiltered will be broadcasting from there Thursday and Friday. But again, the live stream pass, live stream pass through GFNTV.com. $10.99 for those 3 days, and so you want to check that out. Of course, GFN TV, this is your world, and it is in your image. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.